Now, I'm really, really grateful to you for sharing those thoughts with us. And I'm even more delighted to announce that we're going to now welcome Sarah Personette, who's Chief Customer Officer at Twitter, to join Doug at the summit to continue our conversation. So, Sarah, welcome. I'm going to hand over to you and Doug to continue this fascinating discussion. So, over to the two of you.
Perfect.
Hi, Doug.
Hey, Sarah, how are you? I'll say for everyone, this is where the interviewee becomes the interviewer. So good to see you.
Good to see you.
Happy 22. Hope you had a wonderful holiday.
It was wonderful, and it was peaceful, and it also included a lot of COVID testing, which I'm sure you are probably the same. It was like trying to find COVID tests to make sure elderly parents could all be together, but ultimately it was really lovely, and we did get to spend it together, which was super special. How about you?
Yeah, same. I don't know if we hoarded COVID tests or if we're just resourceful, but we've got a hidden stash that we slowly worked our way through over the holiday period, and now need to replenish to live life effectively, I guess.
True. In the beginning, we were at $10 a test, and by the end of the break, it was $35 at our local drugstore. So there's some arbitrage going on.
Good. So listen, I know our time is short, and there's a ton of interest around all things Twitter. So I thought I'd get into a couple of questions. Since we're on this topic of video, and when people think about Twitter, they often might not think about video. They think about tweets or text. So I'd love to hear what do you see as the role of video on the platform, and how does video help Twitter deliver on your overall purpose and mission?
I love that. So I want to zoom out for a moment, and I caught some of your discussion before, which was so interesting and informative. And when I think about consumer behaviors, one of the things that's interesting right now is that people on average, are expected to be watching over 100 minutes of video online per day. And Twitter is no different. So absolutely true. We're born and raised in sort of a text-based environment, but video and the surge of live and video on our platform over the last 2 years has been very similar to that of other platforms. So what's interesting, knowing that Twitter is no different in that, how people are viewing or what they are viewing, I do think is very different. We see a ton of real-time consumption. We see that we are the home of the highlight, and we also see that we are the second screen and the first scroll. So what that essentially means is that Twitter is what's happening in the world, and what's happening in the world is happening on Twitter. So if there's something going on in sports, if there's something going on in entertainment, if there's something going on in the news, the video consumption, or what is trending in terms of video consumption, is going to reflect that live real-time experience. If you shift to highlights, we actually see the majority of people also watching highlights. That clip that was super exciting from that game, the walk down the red carpet. So any highlight that comes from live, culturally stimulating events and culturally relevant events really have an incredible place on our platform, and is what drives a lot of that video consumption, and especially in the sports arena or the sports genre. And then as the second screen and the first scroll, the majority of our content is actually exclusive content and highlight content that comes from our incredible premium partners and publishers that we work with every day. So the NBCs of the world, Disney, NFL, NBA. And so we find that we are a companion piece. You are watching TV in your home or at a friend's house, and that first scroll off of that screen is going to be on Twitter, so you can converse in real time with others that are also sharing in the excitement of that program. So if you go back to the question around how does this serve our mission of serving the public conversation, video and content on our platform is both the start of conversation, and it's also I think the creator of ongoing conversation that connects back to a lot of what is happening in the world today.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, like, video is at the core of, I think, so many feeds. If you think about, on one hand, you have the feeds of Instagram and Snap and TikTok, but then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got that original content, longer format programming. Twitter's kind of in the middle, I guess, for the advertisers here. How do you wrestle with that? You're kind of in between, the feeds of TikTok, Snap, and Instagram, and the original programming of long format, traditional, and new players.
And what's interesting is I think a lot of the other players in the digital space are investing in original program and a long form content. And our strategy is to be complementary and not competitive in any way. And I do think that is very distinctly different than any of those other players in the marketplace today. And what that essentially means is that we, with the series of content partners that we have, we work to invest in helping them shape content that is going to be highly engaging and highly relevant for every individual's feed. And there is never going to be a time where we are producing original content. We are not producing, 90-minute documentaries that are going to be hosted on the platform. And that's because we know that investing in our partners so that we have premium brand safe content actually works for the people that are coming to consume video on our platform. And it also works for the advertisers and marketers who are looking for incredible reach, incredible relevancy, and also the ability to do that in a brand safe way.
Brand safety is really important. How are you guys thinking about that when you think about the video landscape then?
So for us, and I think this is where one, brand safety is probably the top priority for me and has been for the last few years that I've been in my last role and now in this role. And that's primarily because brand safety on Twitter is not just brand safety, it's people safety. And we take that really seriously. As it relates to video though, and our video strategy, our Amplify solution, which is 100% of our video inventory, is all manually reviewed and it's all brand safe. And so that has been a really important part of our ability to meet advertisers' needs in today's world, where it is challenging to know what is safe and what is not, what is brand safe and brand suitable and what is not. So that manual review and that partnership with creators all the way through to large content publishers has been important to our video strategy.
One of the things I've been noticing is the intersection of video on Twitter with a lot of experimentation. One of the areas I love is live shopping and what you guys are doing with that. To me, it's such an untapped opportunity as this notion of connected commerce continues to grow. Can you share a little bit more about that intersection of video and shopping and what we can expect and where it's going in the year and ahead?
Absolutely. And I love that question, Doug, because really live shopping at its best combines everything that you were talking about in terms and that we've been talking about around live and around video. And then it adds in this commerce component. And when we've been looking at the market overall, commerce on mobile is actually expected to double by the year 2025. So we know that none of these trends that were expedited by COVID, but have been obviously, percolating for a long period of time are not going anywhere. And the way that we think about it is that our shopping experience essentially allows you to watch and experience video live while also buying and browsing those products. And the most recent experiment that we did was actually over Cyber Weekend with Walmart, and we were able to build out a 30-minute variety show with James Derulo. He had on a variety of different special guests, different appearances from folks. He was looking at a lot of different products from a lot of different categories of offerings. And at the same time, the experience for you as a user on the platform, you're watching this content, but then you're also able to shop and browse through our shopper banner. You're able to use our shop tab. and so on and so forth. So a really interesting interactive discovery in real time experience that brings live, the best of video, and the best of commerce together. But this is one very like small step, I would say, an important step, but a small step in sort of the vision ahead. And when I look back, you know, the incredible product team that is working on our live shopping experience, they made a really bold statement about 12, 18 months ago, and they said, everything we are going to do is going to be testing and learning. So everything is being launched in sort of small increments of experiments. They're going to do all of it by building in public. So they're going to launch it, see how that test actually delivers, and then they're going to pull that test sort of off the shelf so that they can launch the next thing. And then the third thing that they're doing is they're essentially trying to gather signals. So live shopping or social shopping is so new in terms of a consumer behavior today. What they're really trying to do is understand as much of the signal that can be gathered from each of these experiments so that it helps us to create a more relevant experience as we bring a full shopping experience forward in our future, and also one that also helps to improve prediction. So I think it's been a really thoughtful approach. I think one where we were, you know, at the start of COVID, there were so many different shopping experiences that were immediately launched. And I think we've taken a more patient approach, but it's one where I think with each of the individual experiments that we're launching, we're hoping to create a ecosystem of data and experiences that helps to benefit the person that's buying, but also really helps to benefit the retailer or the direct-to-consumer advertiser and brand that is shipping those products. So we're really trying to think holistically about it.
So if live shopping had this very methodical roadmap, what's the next methodical thing that you guys are looking at? What should if for those that missed live shopping, right? Or spaces or some of the other things that you guys have come out with lately, what's that thing that people should be paying attention to now as you go into the new year?
Well, I think you said it actually. I think spaces and live audio is it. So it's a great question, but I think live audio is still so nascent, and yet we're seeing across the industry, not just for Twitter, we've seen a lot of real engagement, which has been extremely exciting. But I think it's a nascent medium for the industry as a whole. And so when you zoom out for a moment, as we talked about in the beginning, our mission is to serve the public conversation. And conversation takes so many different forms and so many different formats. It can be in text, it can be in a live video, it can be an audio conversation, it can be one-to-one, one-to-few, one-to-many. And so spaces being our solution, what I think you will see happen over the course of time, both like the next 12 months, but the next 24 months, is that it's going to become a really fluid experience to move through the different formats on the platform. So I might be in spaces listening to a really interesting host. The NBA, for example, this season, they're going to produce over 40 spaces with players and with different coaches and different experts in literally the space. And you should be able to, in a frictionless way, move from that space into following that individual, having a text-based conversation, then coming out onto live video that enables you to engage in a different way. And I think trying to get that really seamless, multifaceted conversation collectively together inside of the platform is going to be a really neat part of our vision ahead. And all the things that we've launched up until now with spaces in order to help support and ignite and inspire the creator community, all the way through to working with brands to have really interesting conversations. Almost, I think this new format brings us into an opportunity for brands to operate without borders. They can listen, they can learn, they can interact in real time with people while they are either hosting a conversation or they're bringing in somebody else to help host challenging conversations on their behalf. Like P&G did something very similar around a diversity and inclusion conversation with Widen the Screen. So we're seeing a lot of experimentation in this space, and we're seeing a lot of engagement in this space, which sort of says to me, I think it's just like the first stage in a really long journey ahead for many brands and many people to experiment and to really see the value of live audio, which is super cool.
So getting out of the video audio space, I think you'd have to be under a rock or in super deep quarantine to not know that Twitter has a new CEO, that Jack has transitioned to Parag. So what should we expect in this transition? What should we be looking for, as Twitter evolves from one leader to the new leader?
I actually did encounter someone over break who didn't know, and they were like, "Really, Jack?"
They were in deep quarantine.
Yes, exactly right. Parag is, let me first start with the human. He is an incredible person, leader. He has worked alongside Jack for, the 10 years that Parag has been here, and the time that Jack has been there during his stead, and has the inspirational vision that I think, Jack so incredibly brings to everything. And he also is, even most recently being our CTO, has this incredible technical expertise. So I think you have coupled in him an amazing person, and then with that you have an amazing technician. And why I think that matters is, first and foremost, we have really tried to operate with the utmost integrity, and it's something that I'm really proud of. And I think that is one thing that you will see just continue under his leadership. I think the second thing, and he's been really public about this, you will see faster execution. And I think that is just something that we are all super excited about, because there's so much vibrancy on this platform. You see that in every single conversation that lights up around anything culturally that's happening in the world. And I think with that, we want to get to the same speed where we are launching really critical innovation day in and day out. And I think that's the level of accountability that he will bring. You saw that even in his first week, he actually shifted the entire company to a GM model across product, engineering, design, and research. And last but not least, and again, he's been really public about this too, and I think this will resonate with you. He is very, very focused on personalization for better relevancy of the experience that you will have as an individual scrolling through Twitter, the topics and the interests that you care about, making sure that they are as relevant to you as possible. And then with that, I think it matters for every advertiser and marketer that's joining us right now, because it also helps to ensure that everyone has a better advertising experience too. So that investment in machine learning and in our AI systems is going to be really important to us continue to drive forward, I think, our ambitious roadmap for the next 3 years.
That sounds great. I mean, it's got to be a chain, interesting to see the dynamic, but to some extent you've known the dynamic for quite some time. So great to see. I guess, I'd be remiss, we're at a new year starting out. What, putting the Twitter bird to the side for a second, what are you personally most excited about for the new year ahead?
I was recently writing a letter that will go out to my team on Friday, but I am calling this my year of optimism, or the year of optimism. I think I'm an optimistic realist in all things, but I think leading with optimism is so important. Also, just combating. Do you have? Yes, Doug. This is why we are friends. This is why we get along so well.
Now the other hat that somebody on my team got me, so is this one. So,
which one?
They got me this one. but this is the one, this defines me. So I agree.
I love that. And I think, so if I'm approaching it from everything with optimism, that is how I'm approaching every experience, every challenge, every area of opportunity. And if I'm reflecting on it for the industry, I would love to see that by the end of this year, and that might be a little bit too soon, but I would love to see that the conversations around digital transformation are further along and or complete. And I say that because I still think in many forums that you and I interact in from an industry perspective, so many different folks are at different stages of that journey. And what we've all experienced in these last 2 years is that we all will be better as an industry, as marketers, as advertisers, and as the constituents of our companies, if we can help to connect digital transformation with data. From a Twitter perspective, I'm super optimistic that we are going to be executing faster and driving results for our developers, for our advertisers, for our publishers. And then I think for my team, this is actually the first week that my new leadership team will be in place. And I am really, that to me is like, that's where you get so much of your energy from, is the time that you spend with your team and the way that your team comes together. And so I'm optimistic and I'm exhilarated by the idea of like 12 months from now, just being a healthy, super high performing, high functioning team. And I think all of those things are possible from the industry down to us as individuals.
That's awesome. We have reached our mark. So thank you. Good to see you. Sorry we're not together in person in Vegas. And I'll turn it back to John if technology works in our favor.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Mediation.
Yeah.
Doug, Sarah, to my new favorite people in media, thank you for such a fantastic positive conversation. A great way to clear the clouds of 2021 and head into the wilds of 2022.